This podcast is brought to you in part by P&P Games, your online source for everything video games. Visit their website at pnpgames.com or at their one of their 3 retail locations in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Let's get started.
Alrighty, good evening, Internet. This is the Bonus Stage Podcast, episode number 43. As always, I'm your host, Lloyd Hannison. And, joining me, Mr. Sickly himself, Jeff Ward. Jeff, how are you feeling, man? You were doing pretty rough. Like 3 days ago, you were like, basically, you couldn't get out of bed. And you're not in bed right now. I was glad for that when you flipped on your Skype camera.
And it just wasn't set up in my bedroom.
Yes, I was worried there for a bit, but
I turned into Howard Hughes there for a bit.
Nice.
I had the Kleenex boxes on my feet and jars of urine surrounding me. But
isn't that a normal thing for you?
Yeah, but I mean the amount of jars of urine had increased significantly. I hadn't done a urine run.
You had a urine run.
I hadn't done a urine run in a while. No, I'm feeling a bit better. I mean, my nose isn't running, every hour of every day, so that's a big plus. I'm still a bit stuffed up, but I always think my voice sounds a little bit cooler. When you're a little bit hoarse, it sounds like you've seen some shit. You've been some kind of war.
I smoked 3 packs of cigarettes today before doing the show. How does my voice sound, everybody? That type of sound.
Last week, by the way, shout out to Joe Foreman for stepping up and literally last minute to fill in for me. I appreciate that. He's a good guy. Show was good last week too. I really liked it.
Well, thanks. And I definitely want to make sure I'm going to send a big shout out to Lee as well. I really truly hope we didn't fry your laptop trying to get the show going last week, because that was a lot of crash to reboots and No machines like doing that 12 times in a row. So yeah, it was a good show last week. Joe stepped in the last minute and knocked it out of the park. So it was a good fill in, a good show. What do you say we make this one a good show too? We won't aim for the garbage bin like we normally do. Let's ratchet it up a couple levels maybe.
You know what? I actually just wanted to kind of just do a shitty show for a change. So maybe I should step off and let Joe come back in or something. I guess we'll try it. We'll try it. Right. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Your internet will probably just disconnect you about a dozen more times. So that'll do that. Without you doing it, it'll be forced upon you. So it'll be
exactly.
It'll be
it's in the cards tonight. The universe is. I'm going to be doing that a lot tonight too, sniffing. But
you should be drinking some tea.
I got some water here from the sink, which is not brown. Thank you very much, Winnipeg.
Yikes!
Yeah, but it's been a long
yellow,
week.
So it's not one of your urine bottles either.
No, exactly. Yeah, those are on the other side.
Good.
Been a very long week. I had the reason I wasn't here last week was because I was filming at a nightclub, doing a video for a party that was happening there, and then when I got home, I captured and edited some footage, and I had like 2 hours of sleep, and then I woke up and I shot 14 hours of a wedding, my friend's wedding, out in Stonewall, and then came home and just fell apart basically. And I shot all day on Wednesday as well too. So I'm pretty tired, but I'm alive, which is good.
Alive is a good thing.
Alive is a good thing.
It is a good thing.
And I've been playing a lot of games, which is even better thing.
That is a good thing.
I got a lot of good ones to talk about too. So
nice. I can't wait.
Yeah. So what have I been playing this week? Might as well just jump right into the show. The first thing I've been playing, which I'm going to review later on in the show, PMP sponsored this review. This is I have never played an XCOM game. They've just never been really my type of game. But XCOM Declassified: The Bureau came out a couple weeks ago, and it looked cool. It's a third-person shooter, very tactical, and plays a hell of a lot like Mass Effect. I mean, if you have played Mass Effect 3, this game is almost a reskin of that. In how similar it is. And I'm going to review that a little bit later in the show. It was pretty fun, but talk about it more in depth later on. Another game I'm playing a ton of is a game on the iOS called Sprinkle Islands. This is a game where you're like on this tropical island, and you're in what is effectively a wooden fire truck, right? And you kind of, with your left thumb, you control how high the sprinkler is, and with your right thumb, you shoot like this massive fountain of water, and you put out fires on these islands.
Okay.
And it's physics-based, and you have to kind of curve the water around to try and put out all the fires, and sometimes you have to push blocks and have them drop down so the water can travel across. It's actually a ton of fun. I love games like this. I think that these kind of games are where the where mobile gaming really shines. Is just these, you need two fingers to play. You don't need a lot of time commitment. Each level, has it's got the star system. You want a 5-star every map, and this one also has boss fights too, which is really cool. So once you kind of get to the end of a particular section of levels, the first one is the strangest boss, because you're on a tropical island, so the boss comes from the water, and it was a octopus that spit fire. I have no idea how the hell that's supposed to work in nature, but that's okay. It's really, really awesome. I mean, I love this game, and it's free too, so you can't complain. Tweets by the Tony says that I'm his soulmate. I'm assuming he's also playing Sprinkle Islands. Lloyd, have you tried this game?
I have not. I've seen it.
You should. It's fun.
There's so many games come out every week. It's so hard to play them all, and
every day.
But yeah, it's one that I know a lot of people have been playing online and enjoying. So it's one that I definitely want to check out at one point. I was just worried it was going to be another teenage girl dating game, but it turns out that's not the case.
No, I'm still playing that game, by the way, because they keep writing new chapters for it, and apparently I guess they just never want it to end, and it should have ended a long time ago. I think I'm on chapter 66 or something, and it's kind of getting painful, but I have to finish it. There's something inside my brain. Campus Crush, by the way, is what it's called, for those keeping track.
I was worried you were going to say there's something inside of me that makes me keep going, and that was
it's
bad jokes coming
back here in my brain, and it's like, Jeff, I understand this game is stupid, and I understand that it completely demeans everything you are as a man, but you have to finish it. You have to see it through. And I can't not stop playing it, even though it just makes me feel really stupid every time I boot it up. But I only play it while I'm by myself, so nobody else can. It's not a game I'm going to pull out on the bus or something.
No, okay, I don't want to go into that anymore. So let's no more Campus Crush. Everybody in the chat room says that you're glowing and you have a twinkle in your eye right now, Jeff.
Well, I mean, it's a fun game. It's a fun game, and it's free. Another game I'm playing a lot of is Outlast, which is a survival horror game, and I'm probably going to review that in the next couple of weeks, but I haven't had a lot of time to play it. It's out on Steam. Carly bought it for me. I think it's $15, and it's a ton of fun. It's a first-person game. You can't in the same vein as Amnesia: The Dark Descent. You have no way of defending yourself, so all you can do is run and hide. And you're a reporter who's trying to. He got some sort of letter, and they said, listen, man, this is the biggest story of the year. It's a massive scoop. There's some crazy shit going down at this mental hospital. You have to come and check it out. And so you do, and immediately the shit has already hit the fan long before you've got there. There's dead guards everywhere, and it's a lot of jump scares, things just popping out of the corner and scaring the crap out of you. And you have this camcorder that you use to you can look at certain things and record them, and then that gives you a note and kind of tells you more about the story. But it also has a night vision mode, so you have no flashlight, and it's super dark. So when it's very dark and you need to find your way around, you pull up this camcorder in front of your face and you turn on night vision mode, and it's very affecting. I mean, it's pretty damn scary. And I sat just over there in the dark playing it, And there's a couple of sections of the game where you'll shit your pants if like you already haven't gone to the bathroom, because it's just like so loud and so abrupt, and something just jumps out and just screams in your face, and it's like a hideous monster, and your character will like breathe and pant like he's just completely terrified, and that really like freaks you out as well too, that your character's so afraid it makes you nervous. And they have this really interesting mechanic, which I don't play a lot of PC games, so I'm not quite sure if this is something that's in more of them, but you do a lot of running in this game. So if you're sprinting forward, you can hold either the E or the Q key, and you can look behind you and still run, so you can see who's chasing you down the hallway. And that is really cool. Like when you're just sprinting away from some crazy monster, you can spin around and see that he's still chasing you with like every ounce of his being. He's going to hunt you down and kill you. It's a cool game. It has a very silly story, but it's going to be something I'll probably play. I'll have to play more of to really get a sense of how good it is. I've only played it for about 6 hours or so, and I think the game, I might be a quarter of the way through, but I'm also going through very slowly. It's a very interesting game, so I'm kind of excited to keep playing it. And if you're into that kind of survival horror aspect without there being any weapons or any kind of defense, like you can't hit anyone, you can't block anything, you can't pick up a chair and throw, you have no way to defend yourself. All you can do is run, hide under a bed, hide in a filing cabinet, or not a filing, but like a locker, and just hide from monsters. And it's really, really cool. And the last thing I'm playing, which I picked up yesterday and beat today, and I'll review later on in the show, is Killzone Mercenary on the PS Vita. Short form on this review. If you are not listening to the show live, press pause, go buy this game if you have a Vita. It is fantastic, and I can't wait to talk about it a little bit later. Lloyd's downloading it right now, painstakingly slow.
I'm trying to download it right now. It's been running for about 40 minutes, and it's downloaded 700 megs of the 3 gig initial download.
It downloads binary code one at a time, I believe, on the PSN. So it'll download a 0, and then it'll download a 1, and then another 0. That's how it downloads. That's so friggin' slow on the Vita.
Technically, that is what it's doing. So
yes,
you are correct in that, Jeff Ward.
Fuck.
But yes, it is slow.
One at a time. Literally.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Like I was saying, at that pace, you son of a bitch. It's an awesome game. I can't wait for you to play it, Lloyd, because I think you're going to have a blast with it. It's a little bit short.
I love the beta. The beta was awesome. So
yes, and this is just more of that in a more refined way, and it's a lot more fun because that campaign is pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. I literally booted the game up, and you play like 3 minutes, and you like jump out a building, and you're on a wingsuit, and it's like,
don't spoil it for me.
This is the first minute of the game.
Oh my god, I don't even want to play it.
It's in all the trailers. It's in all the trailers. But I'm sitting there playing it, and I'm like, this could be on a PS3. Like it just blows you the hell away right out of the gate. It's awesome. So
that's what absolutely every single person online is saying, that it is.
I know.
It feels like a
PlayStation
3 title in the palm of your hands, and not like a fake one with like fake walls everywhere. Like Uncharted, where you'd see like this lush jungle, and then you realize that it's not really anything you can explore, and it's actually kind of low res, but from far away it looks pretty. Yeah, this is nice. It's I can't wait to play it if it ever downloads. My whole plan was to start it before we did the show, and then I'd have something to play as soon as we were done. Well, it still says there's 2 hours left in the download. So
that's how long our shows last. So
that's true. That's true. I guess.
I doubt you'll be able to play any before bed though.
No. Ugh. And then GTA 5 comes out on Tuesday, so I have to beat it between now and Tuesday.
Which you will. You'll probably beat it in one day.
Okay. Well, that's good then. Maybe I'll beat it tomorrow.
Yeah. So like one of the reasons why this game looks and plays so well, and I'll get into this more in the review, but Cambridge is the studio that made it, and they actually took the Killzone 3 engine that was built for the PS3, and they stripped it down a bit and basically built a game for the Vita, which is why it looks so great. And that's an impressive feat in itself. I mean, just taking an engine that is specifically designed for a PS3 hardware system and just taking a few nuts and bolts out of it and slapping it into a Vita and having it run this smooth is very impressive. So can't wait to talk about it later, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it, in a few days once you've beaten it.
Cool.
But yeah, that's it. That's all I'm playing this week.
Cool.
Or like it's the last couple of weeks.
Nice. Well, I'll get into what I've been playing. Today, I was playing some, wait for it, you'll never guess, Disney Infinity with my kids.
Take a drink.
This game, it's Jeff's campus crush. It's Jeff's MLB The Show.
You know what?
It's
You shouldn't
Jeff's
say
COD : random letters.
There's nothing that's for you that's my campus crush, because
true.
that game is so far off the beaten path. You shouldn't be. You're a married man who has kids, and you play that game with your kids. That's cool, all right? I am a guy who lives with his girlfriend who's playing a game that's directed at like 8-year-old girls.
Do you have a My First Diary or my pretty diary that you keep in your bedside table? Anything like that? No. I figured not anymore. Okay, I just had to check.
I filled up all the pages with all my hopes and dreams.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You can make yourself a poster board. You can put it at the foot of your bed so you can look at it every day. This is what I'm going to do tomorrow. This is what
once I finished the journal, I really got into scrapbooking. So.
That's good. That's good.
Talk about your stupid Disney.
Hobbies. Hobbies are good. I've been playing Disney Infinity with my kids. Like, it's pretty much a game that we play every day. It's awesome bonding time. It's my favorite game right now. Like, when I'm at work, when I'm not playing games, when I'm not holding the controller in my hand, I'm thinking about levels that I can build and different things that I can do. It's such a fun game. And today we cracked open the Cars playset. We picked that up and cracked that open today and played through some of that, and it's fun. Actually, the Cars playset was supposed to be a birthday gift for my daughter. She turns 6 next week. Yeah, I was going to say this week, but no, today's only Friday. She turns 6 next week, but ended up buying a different gift for her, so she got to open these ones early. And I waited in line for about an hour yesterday at Walmart at midnight, because in Walmart Canada is having an anniversary sale, and I didn't realize that there'd be that many people there, or I wouldn't have gone. And they're blowing out super big TVs for $600 and 32-inch LCD panel TVs for $129, like crazy sales. So there was about 100 people waiting in line in front of me. Well, maybe not 100. It's probably about 60 waiting in line in front of me.
That's a lot.
And the reason why I went there was to buy a 3DS XL for $149. I was originally going to get her a 2DS when they came out in October, but then I saw the sale, and it's like, oh, right, I'd much rather have the bigger screens and something that opens and closes for my daughter. So I went out, waited in line, chatted with people in line, and basically succeeded in getting her the pink 3DS XL that I wanted to get her. So that will be her new basement, or her new birthday gift, which is now hidden in the basement until her birthday.
Solid deal, man.
But then, so instead of that, I took I took the all the Disney Infinity stuff that I had put aside for her birthday, and we opened it tonight, and we played some Cars playset, and played with all the different, like, Mater and Fernando Bernoulli. He's not Fernando, I don't think. It's whatever. Bernoulli. I can't think of his name. Lorenzo Bernoulli, I think is what it is.
How many characters come in these sets?
2. So in the set, it comes with Holly Shiftwell and Lightning McQueen. And but then there's 2 additional cars that I got for them as well, so they can have the whole collection, play with all their favorites. And
you can buy them as singles as well too?
Yeah. So you a playset. There's only a couple playsets that aren't the base set that you buy, but they always come with the playset piece, which activates the playset, and then two characters. And then some of the playsets have additional characters. All of them except for one actually has additional characters. Lone Ranger just has the Lone Ranger and Tonto, and that comes with the playset, so there's no additional characters. But all the other ones have a couple, one or more additional characters that you can buy. So for Cars, there's 4 total characters that are out. So picked up all the 2 extras in the playset, and we played that for probably about 3 hours when I got home from work up until I'm taking a break, obviously in the middle there for some food, and then put them to bed. So it was maybe only
Kids go unfed. They
Yeah.
can go unfed when they're
Yeah.
playing games.
yeah, they don't complain when they're playing video games. But yeah, it
They're,
was
they're starving now, but they were fine then.
it was it was great. I mean, we played probably for actually about 2 hours because we had to eat in between there somewhere, and there's nothing else that I would rather do with them video game wise. Like they used to love playing Mario, they love Skylanders, they loved all these games that we played. But by far, Disney Infinity is the best game that I've played with them. It's so creative. Like my son is 7 and he's building little levels with the level creator and making fun games. Like we spent earlier this week, we must have spent about an hour one night building cliffs to jump off of. And they would jump off the cliffs as either the bird, because there's a bird pack that you get from the Lone Ranger playset, or one of the glide packs that you get from the Incredibles. And they wanted me to try to hit them with things that I'd launch out of an air cannon that I made. So it's so I get stuff, get ready to push it into the air cannon or myself into the air cannon and try to hit them out of the air. And that was a game that we played for an hour, and they giggled and laughed. And it's just like you can make your own fun in a few minutes. It is such an amazing game. So I'm really looking forward to all the other character releases. Just Justin Carguth in the chat room says, if your father says jump off a cliff, you do it. Yeah, that is great. But yeah, it's a game that we play pretty much every day, and I don't see us growing tired of it anytime soon. It's that much fun. So playing a lot of Disney Infinity. But I've been playing some stuff myself. I've been playing a fair bit of Spelunky on my Vita. Really angry at that game for about a minute, and then you forget all the anger and you go back and play through it again. It's so much fun. I watched a complete playthrough on YouTube the other day. A guy beat it in under 7 minutes, and I'm just like, I've never seen that? You cheat kind of by you kill one of the shopkeepers and take his gun, and then you can pretty much take anything else that you want in the game. It's still incredibly hard and super twitchy, but yeah, you can do it. And
wow.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I don't think I'll ever beat the game. I'm not that good, I guess, but playing a lot of that and having fun with it. And also, I've been playing a little bit of Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD Remix that just came out for the PlayStation 3. That is a 3-game collection that came out. I expected to like it more. I loved Kingdom Hearts when I first played it way back in the day. It does not translate well at all.
That sucks.
It's a game where all of its game mechanics are so dated. The camera system is horrible. The fact that when you're running by little tiny like items, like the little health balls, when you kill an enemy, these little green balls fly out. There's no sort of like magnetic attraction to you. So you could be a pixel away from them and you miss them, and then you have to like turn around and go kick them.
Oh, you gotta
up.
touch it.
Like it. No, you don't. You don't touch it. You pretty much have to touch it exactly.
Yeah, you have to, right.
But it's just like, what?
Could you imagine if Crackdown was that way?
Well, it made sense back in the PlayStation 1 because you were dealing with a screen that was this big compared to a screen that is this big. Like when you're playing in 1080p, like the geometry is so much bigger, but they haven't added stuff to make the geometry. Just little things like that are really annoying. And yeah, I don't know. I don't like it. I think I want to remember my original play with it more than I want to remember this version. And other little things like the text on the screen. Like I have a 50-inch television, and the font for some of the text on the screen is probably about 3 inches tall on the top of the screen, and it's overlaying so much of the window because you're on like a CRT, like 540p or 540i, small little tiny screen, and they just took that and stretched it up to 1080p, and the font got huge, and just little touches like that. So
kind of defeats the purpose of an HD remix, doesn't it?
Yeah,
if they're like not really doing anything to it at all.
Yeah, and little things like the character models, you can obviously see that they were stretched out. Some of the textures were touched to make them look good, but then there's things where like there's jaggies on the character because it's not being rendered properly. It's because the model doesn't have enough steps for like a shoulder, so it's like it looks like they're made out of Lego or something for some of the characters. And it's like, you could have fixed that. And I know when you're porting a game over, you don't want to change anything that might introduce more bugs into the game, but there's little graphical things that were really bothering me. And then you add the mechanics, the gameplay mechanics, and it's just like, okay, I'm going to put this down. I'm going to wait for a bit, and then I'm going to go back to it and see if maybe I was just in a bad mood that day or something. I was not in a Kingdom Hearts mood, but because I just didn't enjoy it at all. But I mean, it's a great game. Like the original Kingdom Hearts, I loved that game. The mixture of Square Enix RPG with Disney characters just totally made sense to me, and was a lot of fun. This one, I don't know, I'm just not enjoying it, but I'm going to give it a small break and then get back to it.
Yeah, Carly still has 1 and 2 actually on the PS2 upstairs in her collection. She's a big fan of those games as well.
Yeah, it's
I've never played them.
It's good. It's a really good game.
Would you recommend that if someone hasn't played Kingdom Hearts 1 that they go and pick this up on the PS3, or is it that poor?
No, I mean, it's, for me, I think the problem is I've already played it. So a lot of the things that I was annoyed before, and I know I said PlayStation 1, I meant PlayStation 2. Like when I originally played it on my PS2, it's on a normal CRT. It's like a smaller image. Everything looked great. The gameplay mechanics were what Square RPGs were like at that time. Things have evolved a little bit. So for me, it's just like, I don't know. Maybe I was just not in a mood to play that game. I'm going to go back to it and try to play through it again because it was probably one of my favorite RPGs that came out around that era. I played a lot of the first Kingdom Hearts. Like, I mean, I even enjoyed the stupid gummy spaceship creating thing that everybody hated, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed meeting all of the other Disney characters. I dug that. I mean, I've played a lot of the other Kingdom Hearts games that have come out. Chain of Memories, what was it? It was like 358 over 2 days or something, whatever that stupid Kingdom Hearts name was. I have Dream Drop Distance just behind me for my 3DS. Like, I love the franchise, but for some reason, just going back to this game just wasn't doing it for me. So I'm going to give it a break and go back to it and try to have some more fun with it because it really was one of my favorite PlayStation 2 games.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that's like, I mean, it's a greatest hit for a reason, right? I mean, it sold a crazy amount of copies, and everybody, when I was in school, I was the only one who hadn't played that game. Because, I mean, I had a GameCube, you know, I never had a PS2. So, and everybody was like, you got to play it. I'm like, I have no way to play it. No way.
I'm actually just looking for my original. Just keep talking for a second.
All right. I don't really have anything more to say on the matter. Kingdom Hearts. It's a good game. Play it. Even though I haven't, and I have no way of knowing if it really is a good game or not. But the reviews can't be wrong, can they?
Yeah, like I just pulled out my original that I had, and I forgot that I had it on the shelf here. I thought it was packed away. So I don't know, maybe I should put this and play it on my PlayStation 3. Play the original in a non-HD remake version and see if it's any better.
Oh, you have a PS3 that can play PS2 games?
Yeah, I have one of the original PlayStation 3s that didn't break, so I can still pop this PS2 game in and have some fun with it.
Those are the coveted ones.
Yeah, the day that it dies will be the day that I cry.
Oh, yeah, that'll be a big loss.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD remix. I mean, it's a good deal. It's $40, and you get 3 Kingdom Hearts games. So, not such a bad deal for me. It just wasn't talking to me. So I'm gonna give it a break. Maybe get back to it later this weekend rather, and try to get a nice sizable playthrough before my world is basically ended by
GTA 5.
100 hours of GTA 5.
Yeah.
Since I read last week that the single player content ranks in at about 100 hours.
That's crazy.
That is absolutely ridiculous. And that's not even the online stuff. That's not the online stuff.
And I think that maybe there's a reason why the online stuff isn't launching right away. I think they want people to play that single player. They're like, get into this world, figure it out, like play it around with it.
And there's over 450 missions in the online mode as well. So, I mean, the amount of content in this game, I mean, you could probably play this for more than you could a Skyrim.
There'll probably be like 2 or 3 missions where all you have to do is go get a hot dog with some guy, though. But that's okay, you know. Like all those missions, like in GTA 4, the things that we complain about now is, oh, I hated bowling or going on dates, but the first time you do it, you're like, this is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then they ask you to do it again, you're like, fuck, I don't care.
Can't I just talk to these people with pop-ups?
Yeah.
With really bad word type things, just like a game that I used to play on my iPhone. That's what you're thinking in your head. I just want to talk to these guys. I don't want to play bowling with them.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. What's the deal with the Kingdom Hearts remix title? Why is it capital R, lowercase e, and then MIX is all in caps? What's the deal with that?
It's Square Enix.
That's the answer? They're just crazy?
Have you seen the names of any of their games? Like there's some other games that have like 3 colons in the title. It's like Final Fantasy : blah 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 : blah 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 :
semicolon.
The remix. It's like, come on, can you even fit that on the front of the box? Like, that name is so huge.
I saw it and I wrote it down. I was like, that can't be right. And I went and I checked in the wiki and I was like, no, and then I went and checked the official site. I'm like, that's how they have it. What the hell is that? What does that even mean?
They called a game 356 over 2 days. And it was 356 a line, 2, and then beside it days, like it's a mathematical equation. Like, they're weird. They make weird names for their games. That's just what they do. So I don't know why it's remix with a lower e in remix, but there's probably a good explanation for it, but I kind of don't care. I see it and I just shake my head and go, "Oh, Square Enix, all right, you're a crazy one." And that's
I know that this show is listened to by a lot of Squeenix executives. So if you guys can tell us what the hell is going through your heads, let us know, please. VGpodcast@gmail.com.
That is true. They do listen. So
we would love your feedback.
Yeah.
Segue.
Wah, wah. Let's get into the segue into the feedback section. Sorry, not the segue section. That's next week. We're going to do a whole section on just really bad segues, or we're going to talk about riding segues. We could do that as well.
I got one. PNP sponsored Segway review. Yeah,
it'll be good. But no, let's get into our feedback section. We got an email from James, and
I swear I think this is, if James is out there and he's going to write another question, let us know if you're the same guy, because I think he's written in like 3 times.
Well, I still have all the mail that has ever been sent to me, so I could look to see if that is the same James.
I think you'd rather have me just pull my hair out and try.
Well, that's kind of why I didn't answer you when you asked it. I was just like, I don't know. I mean, saying "oh" is much easier than actually doing a search in Gmail, I guess. But let me see. Yeah, we've gotten 3 podcast emails from him.
That's what I thought.
So
thanks for emailing us, James.
That is a James. So James goes, "Hey guys, got a few new questions for you. With PAX finishing up this week, what's your thoughts on the event? But more specifically, your thoughts on the boycotting of it because of Mike Krolick's comments. Also, you guys asked a while back about the show length. Personally, I like the longer 2+ hour shows. I do a lot of driving, so if I have some nice long podcasts to listen to, it makes a trip a lot more fun. Thanks, James." So PAX ended, I guess, a week, 2 weeks ago. Because this email came in early last week. And yeah, like a lot of people boycotted it because of them bringing up the whole Dick Wolves thing again.
Yeah, and that's been going along since like 2010, right?
The thing about the whole Dick Wolves thing is it was just such a stupid thing, blown out of proportion on both sides. Everybody's angers flared and ramped up on both sides. It's just like, oh my God, internet. Oh my God, creators of comedy. Like, just take a step back and go, whoa, okay, let's just move on. Like the comic was hilarious when it first came out. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
You have a guy who rescues a whole bunch of prisoners, but doesn't rescue one guy because he doesn't have to, because his quest giver only said rescue 10. But he's like, but they rape us every night. The dick wolves come and rape us every night. And he's like, yep, sorry, bud. I only have to get 10. And
they'll make this weird.
Yeah, and the comic wasn't making fun of, obviously, rape. It was making fun of the RPG systems. But then you had the one side went all crazy about the rape jokes, which I understand. I get that, and I'm not even going to make a comment on that. But then you have the Penny Arcade guys just blow it way out of proportion and basically call people stupid, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. And then it blows up, and then it finally calms down. And then to come back up and say that you're going to be wearing your Dick Wolves t-shirt, and the biggest mistake you made was not selling those t-shirts. It's just like, really? Do you want to have more people pissed off?
He's an idiot. He really is.
Yeah, like, is this a thing because they want people to be pissed off at them because it generates page views? Like, is this a all press is good press, even bad press type thing? It was just so weird, and I really had hoped that I'd heard the last of the whole thing. Like, the comic was funny. We all have, yeah. Just put it away. And now this whole thing blows up again, and I'm just like, oh God, really? It was just so weird. But people apparently boycotted PAX. It didn't stop PAX from selling out in hours like it always does. Yep. It didn't stop it from being an absolute zoo for the 4 days that it ran instead of the normal 3 days. I don't think a boycott is really going to do much in this case.
No, it was, I wouldn't say even large this year. I think a couple of booths that I can't remember their names. I could probably pull it up, but I remember reading a few articles of people who were like we're not going to PAX because of this. Yeah. And that's something that I think maybe Penny Arcade has to address. Like, I think Mike is like, outside of him being like a talented artist who is, who's funny in most of his comics, he's an idiot, and he's a huge asshole, and that's okay. Yeah. But when you're confronted with all of this stuff, and people are like, hey, listen, like, we're not trying to make a big deal out of it, but you have to understand that you're helping perpetuate this rape culture that's going on, and it can't be a funny joke and then still be taken seriously. And for him to just look at them and go, fuck you guys, you're idiots. I mean, that's insane. I mean, you have to be completely out of touch to think that way. But then,
like I said, I don't want to get into this whole whole topic. Is just stupid, and it's not worth talking about because it's just going to get people serious for it's going to get people angry. But the whole thing is, when you're a comedian, you can make jokes about anything, and it doesn't mean you're making fun of that thing. And for him, for that comic, the whole it wasn't even the joke wasn't based around the rape. The joke was based around the fact that quest givers want you to go rescue these people, but you only rescue 10, even though there's a whole bunch of other bad stuff that's happening. But then when one side blew up, the Penny Arcade guys blew up in the worst possible way, made more stupid comments, which just increased all the anger on both sides. And that's what they have to do.
He didn't stop. He kept egging them on is really and that there's a lot of people that defend him blindly just because they're fans of the comic, and they don't understand that the stuff he's doing is deliberate antagonistic stuff that is hurting a lot of people, and there were a lot of really fantastic articles that were written around this PAX where people are like, listen, like, this is not a good environment. And whether, if you believe that or not, they were still really interesting articles from people who were like, I want to be there so bad, but it conflicts with, the morals that I have, personally. So
yeah, I don't know. I think there's craziness on both sides of the argument. And for people to boycott, to boycott a whole conference based on a couple stupid comments that were made, I can understand it, I guess. Personally, I wouldn't be that person, but I could see why people would do it. And I mean, what's going to happen is it's going to lay dormant for another couple of years, and then they're going to drum it back up again to get more page views. I mean, they're comedians, and comedians say stupid stuff. They say really horrible things because you should be able to find humor in almost anything. as a comedian, and that's what they do. And a lot of people don't like it. And the thing that I always come back to, it's like, if you don't like it, like, go away. Go do something else. Look other places. The internet isn't one site. It's
you told me that
sites.
last week when I was bashing the CFL, and it's the exact argument that you have to put to someone like that.
Yeah, just like,
no one's forcing you to enjoy this.
Just go somewhere else. Like, if you don't like it, if you don't like that kind of humor, go somewhere else. It's simple, and a lot of people have, and that's great. That, I mean, if you're not gonna support someone by if you're not gonna support someone because of what they write, well, don't go back there and keep commenting on their site, because you're giving them more traffic, and then you're generating more conversation, and then more people are coming there to talk with you. Like, if you really don't like something, just go away, and then don't worry about it, and then it will die off. But no one wants to do that. And anyway, this is like so far off the question. I think PAX is great. I've never been to one. I have some close friends that go all the time, and they love it. The event is getting really huge. PAX Prime is now 4 days instead of 3. It's getting a little too large. So a lot of people are looking for smaller events. So there's some other events that are starting up.
Yeah, PAX East, right? I mean,
well,
that's
not even related to PAX. Like, other companies are starting up smaller events to get back to the real indie conference, and it's just like, what? Oh, whatever.
Yeah, like that's strange, right? I mean, like, PAX is for those who don't know, PAX is a place where there is no AAA studio funded games. It is literally all indie developers, and it's huge.
There are a lot of more AAA games now these days. You get a lot of larger companies come and set up some stuff there. When it first launched, it was basically just there was a game room with board games. There was the Mega Athlon, or whatever that is called, where they have they have the marathon of old games. But it's gotten to be more of a conference now, because there's money there to be made by these game developers.
Lots of panels and stuff.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, like, for me, all this crazy BS that Penny Arcade pulls every once in a while, I don't agree with all of it. But I like comedy. So I'll watch a comedian, and if they say something that's just totally off the wall, I hate it. How could someone ever come up with something like that? You just say, all right, that's his way of getting jokes, right? Or getting laughter on his jokes. And then you move on, and he says something else that makes you laugh, and then you forget about it. At the end of the day, Penny Arcade raises millions of dollars for their Child's Play charity, which really helps children that are not doing so good. So at the end of the day, they are it's better for them to be on the internet than it would be for them to go away. And not that helping children allows them to upset a whole rash of people, because that's been some arguments I've heard. One big swath of the internet is getting pissed off at them, so that's justified. I'm not saying that at all, but at the end of the day, I see all the good that Penny Arcade does, and the bad stuff they do, I just kind of go, whatever. They're idiots. They need to have they're not idiots. That's a bad thing to say, but some of the stuff they do, some of the stuff they do is idiotic, and that's just the way it is. Like, some people need better social media training. They need to know that when they can't just, like, off the cuff say something on Twitter and not have it blow up when you have millions of people that are following you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For me, I've never been. I don't think I'll ever go. It's quite a lot of money. It's in Seattle, right? Like, the big one's in Seattle, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a pretty big trip to get out there. But I think, and then after this, if you want to say something, we will, and then we'll go on to the new releases. But the defense of, and a lot of comedians have brought this up, because there's always someone who, Daniel Tosh, last year made a really bad rape joke, and he's like, well, I'm a comedian, I can make any joke I want, because that's the way I earn my living. And I suppose that's fair, but Patton Oswalt wrote a really great article that's just a massive kind of look inside of the comedian's mind. And David Cross also wrote one as well, too. When you're a comedian and you're going to make a joke, if you're going to make a joke that's dark, if it's about murder, if it's about rape, if it's about whatever, it's about 9/11, whatever, you have to make sure that when you're writing that joke, you don't just use rape as a cheap laugh, because that's kind of what I think maybe a lot of this was about, was that rape was put in there to get a cheap laugh. And a smart comedian will write a joke that makes you think about it, but it'll make you feel bad as well too, and that's not what that joke did. But
and I don't, to be honest, I think that it wasn't a joke about rape. It was a joke about how stupid RPG quest givers are. So they could have easily replaced that with anything else, because
I think that's the argument, right?
But the thing is, they didn't put it in there to cause a stir. They just put it in there because it's like, this guy's, you don't help him because you're not allowed to help him, even though all this bad stuff is happening. So they weren't making light of rape. They weren't making fun of people that have been raped. They just put it in as an aside to what the main part of their joke was. It might have been a bad choice, but the joke itself is fine. Whatever. That is what it is. The problem is all the crap that happened after, and they didn't just like apologize and say, sorry, we didn't think. It, like, the thing where this really got blown out of proportion was their arguments online. And then to bring it back up, saying one of the biggest mistakes they ever made was pulling those t-shirts down. It's like, what are you doing? Why fan the flames to a fire that is dying out? I couldn't believe
he said that.
Yeah, it's
that totally blew me away.
That is a stupid thing. Like, comedians make jokes about things because they want to elicit a certain response from their audience. There's some shock comedians that just want to make people shocked, but there's a lot of people that use something shocking to get people off their guard, to then lead them somewhere else. And that's what a good comedian will do. When you're making a 3-panel comic, you obviously don't do that. So
you've got significantly less time.
Yeah, and like I said,
he could have said anything.
He could have, but he wasn't making fun of that. He was making fun of the RPG system, and he just picked some bad thing. But you gotta understand that it doesn't matter what you put in there, you're gonna offend some portion of people, right? So he, like, as a writer for that comic, they can't always be looking at every single thing and analyzing, like, how many people are we going to upset with this? Like, sometimes you just write it and it goes up. I get that. For me, it's the reaction to the reaction, which was just like, you guys are idiots. You have to take ownership of what you did. You have to apologize, and then you have to move on and forget about it. Like, this whole raising up these fights constantly is just, it's so stupid, and it doesn't bring you any goodwill. It just makes the dude bros laugh, and that's all it does. And it's so stupid, and that comedy made is just so asinine. I don't understand it. But whatever. Some people are just dumb that way, but like, despite what they do for a living, some people are just dumb, and that was a really dumb thing to say.
Yeah,
for sure.
Was.
But
good question.
Yeah. Anyway,
sparked a good conversation.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for sending it in. I guess I didn't get finished in summing up what I thought of PAX. I want to go to PAX one day, just to be around a bunch of gamers. I don't care who runs it, to be honest with you. I don't think about who runs the Comic-Con here in Winnipeg. I don't look at the background of everybody that's involved with that event. I go to events to interact with the people that are there. So I'm not going to boycott them for something stupid they did. Not now. If they keep going, who knows? Maybe. But it was apparently a really good show. A lot of people loved it. There was a lot of good news coming out of it. So yeah, it's a good thing. And like always, they raise a lot of money for sick children, which is always a good thing in my books.
Yep.
All right, moving on.
New releases.
Yeah,
a lot of stuff came out this week.
Yeah, a fair bit. Arma 3, which I don't like those games, so I don't play them. But that's out, and there's a lot of people that are interested and excited about that. So it's there.
Do you know if those guys who were like scouting locations and taking pictures are out of jail yet? Do you know that story?
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. I don't know.
For those who don't know, Arma is a small development company, and they sent some guys out to take pick because it's basically a recreation of a lot of real world areas.
Yeah,
and I can't remember where they were.
It's essentially a war game,
Yeah.
a really huge, realistic war game. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you get shot or if you get a little bit of shrapnel, you're pretty much going to die because of how you're going to bleed out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And some of their art people were taking photos in restricted areas and basically got pretty much like killed. Like they didn't die, but they could have, and they get thrown in jail for something. I'm looking for the article here because that happened a while ago.
Spying. They thought they were spies.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I can't find any of the articles.
And I believe they were. Last time I checked, last year they were in jail. Still.
Yeah, I wonder if they got out. I'm not seeing anything about their release. How horrible would that be?
Just the worst.
Oh my god, that would just be so terrible. But yeah, it's super realistic, super, I don't know, super awesome for people that love simulations of war. So it's out there.
It looks cool.
Released.
And an Arma mod is where
Daisy
came from. So I would love to play it, but I don't have a rig that can take that kind of game.
No, I mean it looks really, really good.
Yeah,
but
Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, also came out on the PC, and I have it on good authority that yes, there are pigs in this game, so that's cool.
All right, that's good. That's good to know. I'm
excited to play it.
About it.
I still haven't finished the first one. I have it on my back. Still haven't finished it.
Oh, they were granted bail after 4 months behind bars.
4 months.
Yeah, that's
Jesus.
from Varun in the chat room. How stupid is that?
Well, I mean, they got out. That's great.
That's ridiculous. Puppeteer came out this week, and it's
Critical acclaim.
It's getting some really amazing reviews. I've watched some of the videos. It looks interesting. There's just too much coming out now, man. It's so difficult. It's so difficult to play all the stuff that you want to play. So it's on my list, and I hope to play it at one time. NHL 14 came out.
The 360 and PS3, not on the PC, which is strange. They probably will port it later on in the year, I guess. Or
I don't know. I don't think it's. I don't think that's a game that a lot of people on PC play. To be honest with you, it does really good on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. So
yeah.
Kingdom Hearts 1.5 HD remix.
Colon XX 420.
Yeah. So there you go. Elder Scrolls Anthology came out. That's that huge set that has every Elder Scrolls game ever all in one big box.
The best $100 you'll ever spend. My nose is all stuffed. I can't speak.
Yeah, if anything, I would buy that just to get copies of all the maps, and then I'd get them framed to put them in my wall. I put them on a wall, not in a wall, because I'm not hiding any sort of valuables in my wall. But yeah, it looks interesting. The funny thing is probably half the games aren't really playable anymore just because of the crazy emulators and stuff that you have to run to emulate an old DOS PC and all that stuff. Apparently it all works right from the installer. The install figures out all that stuff, kind of like good old games. But yeah, some of those games are going to look really, really old. So
I'm sure from Morrowind on, you'll be fine, which is the third game.
Yeah.
But when you go back to Daggerfall and then Arena, you might be into some trouble.
You might be SOL. And then Killzone Mercenary for the Vita.
Which I'll talk about as we come back from the break.
All right, so we'll take a small break. It sounds like your voice is getting worse and worse, Jeff. Are you...
It's not my voice. My voice is fine. I can't breathe through my nose. So I have to, I can only say a few words at a time that I got to breathe, you know? So I also have asthma, so my friggin' I can't breathe very well.
You need to get a Bane mask. To help you get one of those, and you can talk like this, and it would be really good.
That wasn't bad.
I know. I've been working on my Bane. It's pretty good. All right, here we go. Let's take a small break. We'll be back in a couple minutes with some reviews. So see you guys in a couple. Alrighty. You knew that was going to be good when I saw the Starship Amazing come up. You know that's going to be a good track.
Is that from Ruby Dagger?
Yeah, it's from Ruby Dagger. Any ghost that would bother us.
I like that. I like that album. That's their new one, by the way, guys. If you haven't, if you don't know, if this is like your first time listening, that music at the front of the podcast is made by them specifically for the show, and we thank them for that. So you should definitely go to starshipamazing.com and buy some of their music because it's really good stuff. Yeah, and they have a couple of free albums too, so you can kind of check that out.
Yeah, they have I think 4 or 5 free albums. They got some that are really cheap. They got some that are pay as you want, and yeah, pretty much every single thing that they put out is really, really good.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a small break. Let's look at Killzone Mercenary.
Let's take a small break.
1370 megabytes out of 3081 megabytes with 109 minutes left. This is never going to finish. I will still be on Killzone Mercenary Watch next week for the next episode because it's taking forever.
When you got your pink 3DS, were you at the Empress Walmart?
No, I was at the one at McPhillips.
Did you check and see if they had any Killzones?
I didn't because I'm waiting in line to go, and I mean you're not going to say person that's really busy behind the counter dealing with all this crap, can you get the keys and open up the shelf? Yeah, so I just got it and left. So
this game came out on Tuesday. I was sick, and I was like, damn it, I can't get down there and get it. PMP had a couple. They still, by the way, I don't know if you know this, Lloyd, but they do have some at the McLeod store, but that's quite a clip from your place.
Yeah, they didn't have any at Portage, so I just didn't pick it up.
Yeah, they only had 2, and one was a pre-order.
And the thing is, the download is $5 cheaper. Yeah. So I was just like, and you don't pay tax because for some reason the PlayStation Store doesn't ever charge Canadians tax, or at least it doesn't charge Manitobans tax. So it's just like, as much as I want a physical little small pinky fingernail sized card that I'm going to lose, I'm just going to download it digitally. So I did.
Yeah, I don't have the space. I have an 8 gigabyte card in my Vita, and
it needs about 6 gigs. After all is said and done, after the download happens, because to get it installed rather, because it downloads the installer, then it has to install the files from the installer, and then it gets rid of it, right? Yeah. So yeah, you need 6 gigs.
I believe I have 4.7 free.
Yeah, right so now. You would have been able to download it, but you wouldn't have been able to install it.
Yeah. And there's mandatory update for the game as well too, which is 1.1 gigabytes, which is actually larger by 200 megabytes than the actual beta itself.
Wow!
So the game, you need about 4.5 gigabytes free to download this game, and then 200 megabytes for a save.
Wow! 105 minutes left, so maybe by the time you're done your review, it'll be under 100 minutes.
Yeah. So. I went and tried to pick this game up. It wasn't anywhere. It's sold out everywhere. But I was in the parking lot at GameStop, and I look across and I'm like, there's Walmart right there. Should I go in there and like get really dirty because that's a disgusting friggin' place, and I truly, truly hate Walmart. And I figured, yeah, okay, let's go in. And they had one left, and I was happy. And that was yesterday. I beat it today. So. The game is fantastic. It really, in my opinion, is the best game on the Vita right now. It plays exactly like a PS3 game. It looks friggin' gorgeous, and it has the set pieces that you expect to see in a big blockbuster game. I mean, buildings blowing up, and you're using your wingsuit and flying around, and it's just gun, action and blood and like melee kills where you're stabbing a guy in the dick and then you stab him in the friggin' face afterward. Like it's an awesome game. There's 9 campaign missions, which for me on the second hardest difficulty took 3 hours and 14 minutes to beat all of them. But it's a game that I think kind of benefits for that quick play. Every mission is going to take you about 15 or 20 minutes, which is, I think it's more fun that way because the device is a handheld thing. You don't want to be sitting there playing for 45 or 50 minutes a mission like you would in a console game. And they're not that long, but they're, half hour, and I think that's too long to play on that per mission. Checkpoints work really well. The story is you're a mercenary and you're just a hired gun, and like everybody's like, oh, I just did this war to get rich. And they beat it into your head that it's all about money in this game. There are a couple of twists in the story that are actually kind of interesting, and the ending is fairly interesting. I wouldn't say that the story is going to win any awards or anything. I mean, it's a friggin' first-person shooter. All they need to do is tell you, hey, that's a bad guy. You have to shoot him. So go and shoot all these other bad guys first before you get to him. And that's what the game is. It kind of takes place between the first and second Killzone games in the timeline, and it is a ton of fun to play. There are some parts of the game that kind of fall apart a little bit, but they're very few and far between. Stealth is fun, but you have to kind of buy a loadout that works for stealth. So your loadouts work. You got a primary gun, secondary gun. You have equipment. You have your vest, basically your body armor, and you have what the hell are they called? Oh, the Vanguard systems. So you can buy a bunch of different guns. Everything's not unlocked, and you can't pick up any weapons off the ground. But there are these little cases everywhere that are the arms dealers, and you can kind of walk up to them. And you press the triangle. I always have to look at it because I don't know what the triangle button is on the orientation. They're like, what is it? Oh yeah, it's triangle. You got to press the triangle button, and you go into this basically a kit where this guy sells you a bunch of shit. It kind of like the arms dealer in Metal Gear Solid 4. Same kind of thing, except there's not really any customization going on. And you can buy stuff that will help you sponge more bullets or take more explosive damage or carry more equipment with you or, have more Vanguard systems with you. You can carry more ammo. You're faster. You can move faster, but you're going to take a little bit less damage before you die. And then, all the guns have, specific kind of functions. I kind of stick to the assault rifles. There's assault rifles, sniper rifles, and there is submachine guns for your primaries. The secondaries will range from pistols and kind of handguns to shotguns to rocket launchers, and then you have a kind of a choice of like a myriad of different grenades that you can choose, which are just your regular fragmentation to fire grenades to kind of sensor grenades that will allow you to see other people on the battlefield that haven't spotted up yet, which are a completely useless grenade because every bad guy is a red triangle. You don't have to have any kind of radar up or anything. And then the most interesting part is the Vanguard systems. And there's a bunch of different stuff that I've only used a couple of them. The ones I used were the Ghost one, where if you're standing still or if you're moving really slowly, you're completely invisible to the enemies. However, until you start shooting or if you start to sprint, then basically the Ghost shield thing, whatever, fades away and people can see you. So it's a really cool thing for stealth. And the other one I used was called the Carapace, which is like this, they kind of like throw this sphere in front of you and it turns into a shield that's like connected to your body.
Which is
and it
awesome.
takes all the, yeah, it's really cool and super effective in multiplayer as well. And it just takes all the damage. It fades away after about 45 seconds or so, so it lasts pretty long. And you can shoot through it, like basically you can't shoot through, but when you shoot, it shuts down and allows your bullets to go through, but you can get shot as well. So if you can't find cover and you're totally screwed and you're about to die, pop the Carapace out, throw it in front of you, and you've got like a personal shield so you can get into cover. It's really cool. And then they also have stuff like every once in a while the arms dealer will say, "Oh man, you're in trouble. Like here, let me drop you down a Vanguard capsule, and you can go and take whatever he gives you." And sometimes he gives you it's like a Predator missile thing, it's like the targeting system on his shoulder, and you just tap on the touchscreen anything that gets a red circle around it, and you just friggin' hail missiles down range. And it's pretty cool, but the thing that sucks about it is it's on the left-hand side, which is where your movement is. So you have to take your thumb off the movement stick to do it, and that doesn't really work all that well because then you're just standing in the open. The worst part about the game, and this is a no-spoiler thing, but the final boss fight is one of the most unbalanced fights I've ever played. The boss takes so much damage, and you have to kill him a certain way, and his gun, I think he's got a shotgun, and it seems like it's like a shot and a half will take you down and you're dead, and then you have to start all the way from the front of the battle again. And to like lead him through to where the weak points are of the battle is such a pain in the ass. And I died, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, and I was getting really pissed off. I almost didn't want to finish it, but I was like, well, I'm right there at the end. I just want to see it, and then I can kind of jump into multiplayer. But you do get it. It just takes a while, but it's very frustrating, and that kind of pissed me off. And I think that should have been tightened up a little better, because that, of all the other fights, that are like you're fighting these massive, like big mech guys that come after you, and they're tough, but you can beat them if you just, if you play smart. This one is like, you die a lot of cheap deaths, and that wasn't fun. So the campaign is quick, 3 hours and 14 minutes. It's supposed to be about a 5-hour campaign, but it's gonna be quick. If you play it on an easier difficulty than I am, you might beat it in less than 3 hours, which seems like you're not getting a lot of value of it. But you also have these things called contracts, and contracts get updated every once in a while, and they're basically little missions where you have to do. You go back into the campaign maps, and they have you do a certain task. So you go and hack, or you have to do stealth, and they're extremely difficult, but in the best way. They're challenging. You basically, if you die, it's your own damn fault. They're not cheap deaths. You screwed up. Learn from that. Don't do that again next time. Come back stronger. I like that kind of stuff, where it's like a game of chess, right? Like you have to really plan out every move before you go and do it. And this is a first-person shooter. It shouldn't be very tactile. But when you do like a stealth mission, it's a very tactical thing. You have to know where the people are on the map. You have to know when their backs are turned to the guy who's, straggling out, and you're going to kill him. You have to make sure that they don't find his body. You can't like drag bodies around a corner. You got to make sure that guy is totally off the map for the other guys, so that when they turn around, they don't see his corpse lying there, raise the alarm, and you lose. That's really fun. I think that those are going to be fun to kind of keep the game going offline for a while. But I think the real strength of this game, and I think everybody knows it, is the multiplayer, which is like Lloyd. I think you're going to be really pleasantly surprised by how well it plays now that it's not in the beta.
It plays much better than the beta, because the beta was pretty stable.
Yeah,
I liked it.
It was, and this just feels like it's a more complete package. I've been getting a lot better connections, which is great, and I've been getting games where I'm matched pretty well on skill. Once you kind of earn your first Valor card, like you have to play for a little bit, and then they give you a Valor card, and you're like, that's basically your skill, right? This is how you've been ranked by us. And then they kind of put you with people that are ranked similarly. So you're not going to go in there and just like, crush a bunch of noobs, but you're going to go in there and it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun fight. You're going to die a little bit, but you're also going to take your kills as well too. I can't remember how many maps there are. I think there's 6 or 7 multiplayer maps, and they're all really fun. They're all really cool. There's one of them, I think it's called Market. It's way too dark. That's my only kind of gripe about it. I wish they kind of maybe turn the gamma up on it a little bit. It seems to be a lot darker than necessary, and sometimes maybe it's more of a stealth-based multiplayer map, but I'm always getting snuck up on behind. You're like, oh, you're trying to move across the map, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get into that animation where you're like, oh, I just got meleeed, and then some guy just stabs you in the face with a knife, and you're like, I have no idea where that guy came from. I didn't hear him behind me. I didn't walk past him. Where he came from, I have no idea. And the reason why multiplayer is so strong is because of the economy built around how you buy your weapons and build your loadouts. So my recommendation to anyone playing this is, unless you kind of want to be frustrated by people who have higher powered guns and better equipment and you can't afford it yet, play the campaign. Play 5 or 6 missions. If you want, play them all, because you'll end up earning a lot of cash. And when you play the campaign, that money can be used to purchase new weapons and all that upgraded stuff that I was talking about earlier. And you can use that in the campaign, but it also transfers over to your multiplayer account. So all the stuff you unlock in the campaign can now be used to make a multiplayer loadout, which is fantastic. That same money you earned playing offline can be used online. And that's where you see all these people who have shotguns and the shields and the great Vanguard systems and the better guns and all that kind of stuff. And then the multiplayer becomes really fun because now you can compete with everybody else. You get to be more on par. Not to say that the first gun is a bad gun, but it's certainly not anywhere close to the other guns that are out there. Like there's some shotguns that are just beastly. And if you want to know, like, why do these guys have rocket launchers and I have a handgun? That's why. You need to go in and buy them. And I don't think you earn enough credits you have to play a lot of multiplayer to be able to kind of outload your loadout. That's what I was going to say, to kind of equip your loadout in the way that's going to make competing in multiplayer fun. So they have 2 other game modes other than Warzone, which is Warfare and Guerrilla Warfare, which I believe is, I've only played Warfare and Warzone, and Warfare is just team deathmatch. So I'm going to assume that Guerrilla Warfare is the same, but it switches up the teams every time, like it shuffles the players probably, but I'm not quite sure. Hacking has been improved, or it seems like it feels a lot better, but it's still a pain in the ass. I really, really hate it. There's a couple of times in the campaign where they make you hack something, and it's got like 3 tiers. So you start out and you have to get like 2 hexagons, you tap it, and you're like, okay, and there's like a time limit, it's like 1 minute and 15 seconds. Then it goes to the next screen, and there's like 5 or 6, and then there's like 10, and you're like, this is crazy. Like, this is too much. I can't focus on it. For some reason, my brain just doesn't get it right away, and I have to stare at them for a while. I'm like, I don't understand. This one's not anything, and it's very frustrating, but you end up getting better at it. They don't make you do it too much, and a lot of them are optional, and the optional ones are very hard. I think I only did 2 or 3 of the optional ones throughout the campaign because I was like, this is bullshit. Like, I can't do this. It's just too damn hard, and this isn't where I want to play. I don't want to do this hacking mini game thing. They do have a lot of touchscreen stuff, so when you plant, if anybody's ever played Killzone 3, when you plant a mine, the 6-axis, they had you tilt the controller to arm it, bing, bing, on both sides like that. This time, I don't know why they didn't do it with the accelerometer inside the Vita, but they have you touch the screen and just kind of swap your fingers up and down to set it. All that works really well. It seems like the melee has been improved. I haven't missed a melee, I missed one in the entire campaign playthrough, and it seems like it sticks a little bit better when you're playing multiplayer. It doesn't seem like the prompt flashes up on the screen and then it's gone and you're dead for some reason. The guy like snuck out of it and shot you. That doesn't seem to happen. So this game really is it's a game of the year contender. It's fantastic. I think it's the best Vita game out there. And we need more games like this on the Vita. This is like, if someone came up to me now and said, should I buy a Vita? I'm like, if you like first-person shooters, now might be the time to get in. And when we talk about, we've got news stories later on, there's a new Vita coming out after the price drop and stuff. I don't know if the new Vita is going to come out in the West here, but it's starting to become a really great handheld, and there's a lot of games now coming out for it, and I think this game being so great is going to spur a lot more development, which is going to be really great for the device. So it's a fantastic game. You got to pick it up if you're into first-person shooters. Killzone Mercenary is fantastic, and I'm loving it. Like, it's a purchase that is really worth every damn penny. If they wanted me to pay $50 for this game, I'd still say it's worth it. That's how good it is. And the campaign is very short, but it's that multiplayer that really kind of refines the game and makes it super, super fun. The only problem I had with the multiplayer was that it seems like, and I think this is more of a Vita issue, as I think, Lloyd, you're experiencing right now, the connection or the way it kind of connects and stays connected is spotty at best. So I've been kicked out of a few games just because it's like, oh, you're not connected to the server anymore. And then a second later it pops up and says, now you're connected to the server. Like, well, what the hell was that? It dropped for a second? That doesn't make any sense. But it's a fantastic game, and I can't wait to hear what you think of it, Lloyd.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks for that. I'm really looking forward to it if it actually ever downloads.
I just heard 95 minutes, but I don't know how long ago that was.
Yeah. It's gonna happen at some point. I'm sure. There'll be one day I will have that game. I guarantee it. Just might take a while.
Yeah. And the other thing I'm going to talk about in the review section here is XCOM Declassified: The Bureau. I played this on the 360. I believe it's available on the PS3 and the PC. It is, I guess I would say, a sequel to XCOM Enemy Unknown from last year, which was a monster game. I think that game is still available for free if you're a PlayStation Plus member. And this game is a lot of fun, but I don't think it's for everyone. In fact, I'm going to kind of bounce back and forth between what I think about this game. It's got a lot going for it. The setting is great. I mean, I love the setting where it's like, 50s style everything, and you're a government agent who is, on this super secret, top secret program thing, and like, oh, now you're a member of the Bureau, and it's like very ultra government, the game is very like, fuck yeah, America kind of stuff, like we're awesome and American flags and eagles and stuff, like it's very like American empowering, which is okay because it's end of World War II era. I feel like that's okay in this game, and it doesn't become annoying. It's almost comical sometimes, and I think maybe purposefully. So the game starts, you're this guy who there's not a lot I can talk about the story without spoiling it, so I'm going to keep these points brief. But you start out and you're taking a suitcase that has something in it that you don't know what it is to one of these security director guy. And that's your mission, right? You're in a hotel room, and this woman comes to escort you to take it there. And you're like, I don't know who you are. And she's like, I'm taking it, like now it's my responsibility. And you're like, no, this isn't supposed to leave my possession. And she shoots you in the arm, and she looks at it, and she kind of turns into this crazy like alien demon thing and ends up dying. And the whatever was in your suitcase is now gone. It's been taken by someone. Your hotel room's ransacked, and you're like, basically you wake up and you've just been beat to hell. But your injury, your gunshot wound, has been healed. And as you leave your hotel room, you notice that aliens have attacked, and, there's spaceships crashing into the ground, and there's, streets that have been torn up and everything. And there are these little alien dudes all over the place, and then you just go to work wrecking them. It's a third-person shooter, cover-based. Like I said before in the show, very, very Mass Effect. It moves like Mass Effect. You have a squad. The difference between this game and Mass Effect is that on the lowest difficulty, you still will fail if you do not utilize your team. You have to issue them orders. There's like a command mode where if you're in combat, you kind of lock down the entire game, and everybody moves super slow. And you can position your players, tell them, okay, I want you to move here, I want you to move here, and when you get there, I want you to kind of, lay down flanking fire. You're going to whip a grenade over there, you're going to put a turret over here because you're an engineer, and then I'm just going to stay here behind, and, when you guys are ready, you hit the action button, they go do that, and then you just kind of shoot up aliens. And that's really cool. It works really well. You can tell that their strength here is making squad-based games. Not necessarily a third-person shooter, because the shooting mechanics are a little bit loose. The aiming doesn't seem to be perfectly right, and your character kind of moves like a tank, but he's supposed to stay in cover the whole time, so I think that's okay. Your movement from cover to cover is very fluid, kind of going back between boxes, jumping over stuff, moving around walls. All that stuff works really well, but as soon as you have to like walk out in the open, you feel like a robot with really stiff joints. And it's like, it just doesn't feel the same, So after you get kind of inducted into the Bureau, now you've got this big base that you spend a lot of time in. And I would akin this to the Normandy in Mass Effect, where you can go and you can talk to a bunch of people. There's a conversation tree, and you can kind of understand people's backstories. You can learn about your teammates. You can go and do optional missions to help people in the Bureau. And then there's like a command center where you can go and pick your missions, and they have these kind of listings by priority, like this is a high priority mission, this one's a little bit less, this one's a little bit less. Those are kind of your side missions and stuff. And then down in the bowels of the building is your armory, so you can kind of upgrade and change your loadout for your different characters. So you've got a guy who's like a commando, so he's like all offense, just really great with a gun and has basically just heavy guns and grenades. And then you have an engineer who is really good at kind of hacking other enemy equipment, and using stuff like he can kind of put like this turret, right? You just it's one of his abilities. Just puts a turret in the battlefield, and then it kind of guns down enemies as they kind of try to flank your position. You have other guys who are more of a support base, so you'll get dropped a lot in this game where you go down and you need someone to come and revive you. These guys are really great at that. They can do it from a distance, or whereas other characters have to be like right on top of you to revive you. But the whole game operates around this whole squad-based stuff where you have to be really aware of your surroundings, aware of the battle and how it's going to change, and you have to be positioning your characters all the time, because if you leave them in a spot, even if they seem defended now, in a few seconds they're going to be overrun by guys and they're going to get downed, and then it's just a pain in the ass because now you have two guys who can fight and it's just not enough firepower. So it's a very difficult game in that regard. The story is, again, without spoiling too much of it, it's a little silly. It doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes, and it seems kind of overly dramatic for no real particular reason. But it's fun enough that it'll kind of keep you coming back. It has a very nice art style. There's a section in the beginning of the game where there was a parade in this town that you were going to. I think you're going to find a scientist in this section of the game, and you're walking down this street, and it's white picket fences and 50 or 51 Chevys, Bel Airs and stuff sitting in the driveway, and there's like a banner that says like homecoming or something, and then the rest of the town is just like burnt to a crisp, and it's really, really good. It looks fantastic, but that kind of stuff is where the game looks good. The scenes, the vistas, when you look at characters' faces, they look really weird. Their eyes are buggy. Sometimes they don't look in the right direction. Their mouths rarely match up with what the voice actor is saying. And it just looks like a very dated game. I'm not quite sure if XCOM Enemy Unknown looks like this. I've never played the game. I don't know if there's cinematics like this where you see up close. And have you played the game, Lloyd?
Right.
Declassified.
This game's been in development for like 5 years.
That's true. Yeah, it's been on the works for a while.
So they probably did a lot of their tech 5 years ago, and for whatever reason, this game never made it. So they've just been messing around with it, trying to get it to come out in a forum. And apparently, from everybody that played it, said it needed some work. So they should have let it bake a little bit more, even though it had been 5 years in development.
It certainly does. It's very dated, and actually that's a really good way of saying it does need some work, cosmetically and gameplay-wise, just because the game, although it plays so well when you're fighting guys and you're in cover, as soon as you have to walk around and do other stuff, like God forbid you have to fight anyone while you're standing up and you're not in cover, because you're totally screwed. Like 2 or 3 shots and you're dead, and your team, sometimes, if you're not issuing them proper orders, can be miles behind you, and you're totally screwed. And it's like, I gotta start a checkpoint again. It's a game that will certainly punish you if you want to do this lone wolf. In fact, I don't think you can. I think you'd have to be an extremely skilled player to not issue commands, because to my knowledge, there's no auto commands. Like in Mass Effect, your team will, they'll just use their abilities, their biotics and stuff, carte blanche. They'll just do it whenever they want to, even though you can tell them to do it if you want to be in control. In this game, I don't believe there's an auto ability use thing, which will certainly take the wind out of a lot of people's sails if they're wanting it to be like Mass Effect. It is like Mass Effect in every other way, though, and almost to an absurd front when you're inside the bureau and you're talking with people, and it's just chest up face shots of them talking and having a conversation. You're like, I've played this before. You kind of have this weird sense of deja vu, and it's very strange. I think you'd have to be a very big XCOM fan to really get the most amount of value out of it. I think if you're a casual person looking for a good third-person shooter, this is not your game. And if you're looking for a good cover-based shooter, I would still say that you should be hesitant on this game, because I think there are better ones out there that are more refined and certainly are a bit more of a complete package. This game is a little bit too rough around the edges to recommend to anyone outside of someone who's already a big XCOM fan, which is too bad because I was excited for this game when they showed the trailer at E3, and the live action trailer was one that I was like, man, this is super rad. Like, I'm really into this. I think this is cool. It just did not pan out very well. Graphically, I mean, it looks like a game that really was made 5 years ago, and obviously that's the case. So I liked it, but it's certainly not for everyone. So make sure that you keep your money in your pocket if you're not a big XCOM fan, because I don't think you're going to get as much out of it. But that's XCOM Declassified. Not a total letdown, but certainly less than I was expecting, which is unfortunate.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, man. Do you want to take a small break after that? I mean, you talked for...
Yeah, I'm going to need some water. Yeah.
Okay, let's take another small little break, and then we'll get back to it in a couple minutes with our news. So here we go. Alrighty, that was a couple tracks because one of them was really small. Last one was off the Fake Bic 2010 album. So, all right, let's keep going. Let's get into the news. First off, some huge news. And this is Steam putting out a press release and announcing the much rumored and talked about Steam Family Share. Basically, which is going to allow you to share your Steam library with other people, which is huge. It's a huge thing. So
yeah,
basically, how it's going to work is when you log into Steam, you'll be able to share your library with up to 10 other computers. And what will happen is only one person can be connected to your shared library at a time. So if I have my library and I share it with Jeff and Justin Carguth, if Jeff's playing a game and Justin comes in, it's too bad. Jeff is already playing a game. If I come in and say, I want to play some Peggle, it's going to say, oh, Jeff is playing this game. And I say, yep, kick him off. So what's going to happen is you're going to get a pop-up on your screen, Jeff, that says, Lloyd has returned. He's requesting access to his library. You have 5 minutes to save your game, or click this button to buy this game now. Yeah. So they're going to use it as a way to do some upsells as well.
And it'll probably work.
Oh,
it'll
for sure.
work for sure.
For sure. I mean, this is huge. So if I buy a game and I buy some DLC, you'll have access to that DLC, but you can't get, say, Call of Duty and then buy a map pack yourself that I haven't bought. You have to own the game. So there's some limitations, but
Yeah.
pretty much what this is like people are going to not ever have to buy games if they have family members that buy lots of games, right?
Yeah. I guess, though, that the caveat that is if you're someone who buys a lot of games, you probably play a lot of games too, which means you're going to be kicking people off.
Yeah, but I mean,
is it that you can't play the same game, or is it that I can't play Peggle and you can't play Saints Row on the same library?
You can't. Two people can't be playing stuff from the same library at the same time.
Okay.
Is my understanding of it. It could be wrong, but I think that's what the press release said. Yeah, I mean, it's huge. I guess the only other downfall is not every game will be supported. I guess the developer has to activate their game for game share. So, Ubisoft and a bunch of other stuff, big companies like that won't have access or won't give access to their stuff potentially. But still, for like independent games, I mean, this is going to be huge. Like,
yeah.
I buy every Humble Bundle. I have a huge Steam library. I rarely play PC games.
Yeah. Give me access, Lloyd.
No.
Fuck.
Anybody else that listens to the show can have access, just not you, Jeff.
Oh, come on.
But yeah, I mean, like, that's the stuff that you can do with this. There isn't a date yet that I have seen, but it looks to be pretty cool. Valve is starting off with a beta, so I don't know how long the beta is going to run. The beta starts sometime next week, and it's going to run for a while. But yeah, this is huge. This is similar to what the Xbox One was going to allow you to do, except the Xbox One at the end of the rumors was the I guess the leak that it was only going to give you a timed demo of each game. You weren't going to share the full game with other people.
Was that confirmed that it was?
Well, no, because Microsoft isn't going to come out and say, yeah, that's how it was. But someone that worked at Microsoft said that was what the plan was.
Oh, okay.
Unofficial. But yeah, I mean, really awesome. I might start playing Steam more if this actually happens, because I don't know, the whole sharing of games with friends is always a really good thing. So
yeah, the only thing I don't like about this, and I do understand why. I think a lot of it has to do with price difference and stuff. But the fact that region locking is still in effect is a bit of a bother because it's digital. But you know what? Do I know anybody who's in Europe? No. So, I mean, it really doesn't affect me, and it'll probably affect a very small subsect of people.
Yeah,
they're giving you a pretty wicked service here already.
Totally.
So.
And it's meant for families and close friends, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, your close friends maybe don't live that far away from you is what they're thinking.
Yeah. And I guess if region locking was, like, taken away, you could effectively sell your gaming library to someone, to have access to.
You could create a new account, buy Saints Row, and then sell it to someone in Australia that gets the gimped version because of all their censorship rules.
Yeah.
They don't want that to happen, which is why all the region locking is still there. But yeah, it's I don't know. I'm really really excited for this. I think that's going to be a huge thing for the industry. If nothing else, it's going to get more people PC gaming, which is a win for the PC gaming scene, which was all but dead like a few short years ago, and it's having this huge resurgence. No small part because of Steam. Like, if Steam wasn't around, I doubt PC gaming would be where it is right now. It kind of was the usher that brought everybody into the PC gaming realm again and got people playing their stuff.
It's funny though, because although that is true, a lot of people were mad at Steam when it first came out, which I think they just had their 10th year anniversary or something like that.
Yep.
They thought, like, and some people will say that Steam is the reason why the PC gaming industry went through a bit of a lull, because it was such a shitty service when it first came out.
Yeah.
But through its own refinement and its own store and all the stuff that Steam does flawlessly at this point, they have brought it back, and it's now really. I mean, Steam is the best service for getting games online.
Yep.
The best.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, and it sparked bigger companies, like Origin for EA, and those are now coming. What's the one for Ubisoft?
Uplay, but they don't actually offer games on their service. I don't think it's just more of a social network, as far as I understand. I don't think it's like Origin where you can buy game, or maybe you can. I don't know.
Does anyone use it?
I don't know. I have it because I play a bunch of Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
So I have
anytime I'm like an Assassin's Creed, it's like, you got the achievement on Xbox, but you also got an achievement on Uplay. Go look at it now. I'm like, no.
Varun's saying, yes, you can buy games. I mean, that's how excited I am about this service.
Go Uplay!
Woohoo! All right, cool. So Steam Family Share coming soon. This is going to be huge. Yeah, it's going to be really huge. All right, moving on. Let's get into some more some PlayStation-centric news. The first was a report that came out this week that basically is pegging the PlayStation 4 at about 50% faster graphically than the Xbox One. There's a bunch of developers talking about it and stuff like that. And it's funny, the article that we linked to on Kotaku just got an update, and Microsoft spokesperson responded to Kotaku's request for comment with the following statement. 10 years ago, you could argue that a console's power was summed up in terms of a few of its specs, but the Xbox One is designed as a powerful machine to deliver the best blockbuster games today and for the next decade. The Xbox One architecture is much more complex than what any single figure can convey. It was designed with a balanced performance in mind. We think that the games we continue to show running on near final hardware demonstrate that performance. In the end, we'll let consoles and their games speak for themselves. So, yeah, we might not be the fastest, but hey, specs aren't the thing that you should look at unless our specs are better, and then you should look at them.
Yeah. I mean,
really
like the first half of that sentence is right? Like, I mean, at this point, specs aren't real. Like, is what I would base my pricing decision on. If you base your pricing decision on specs, that's okay. Yep. Understand that there are going to be great games that are going to come out for both. And there are going to be great games that are going to be exclusive to both. Ports between the two multi-platform games, they will exist. Will it look better on a PS4? Marginally, maybe a little bit better in some regard. Does that matter?
And it probably won't even look better because AAA game developers will be making stuff, and they'll settle down to the lowest common denominator.
Yeah.
So whatever the worst is what every single version will look like.
And a lot of it will have to do with what your TV is. What's the color calibrated to? What's the refresh rate on your monitor? That kind of stuff. Yeah. Do I care that it's 50% faster? No. Will it make a difference to some people? Oh yeah. Wow. Anyone who is a PS4 really or they love Sony will go, hey, 50%. That's a huge number. That's my guys. My guys are 50% faster. And that's fine. I've done that before in the past. When it was the GameCube, one of my big things was, because there wasn't a lot to latch onto, right? It was like, mine has a handle and Resident Evil 4. So there you go. Suck on that one,
Yeah. I don't know. The spec 50% faster, I kind of doubt that. And if it is really 50% faster because of the faster memory architecture, that is going to be huge. That is going to make some developers say, well, I'm not making an Xbox One port. I'm going to be bringing this game only out on the PlayStation 4. But like I said, I highly doubt that is going to be the thing. Basically what's happening is that this one game developer made a game demo, and basically he was running the build on his PlayStation 4 development kit at a full 1080p at 30 frames a second. But to get it looking okay on the Xbox One dev kit, it was only running at 20 frames a second, and it was only at 1600 by 900. And they're saying it's all because of the RAM architecture, where the PlayStation RAM is so close to the bus, so close to the CPU and it's faster, it's better RAM, that reading stuff in and out of memory is just so quick. It's almost like it's sitting on the CPU. Where for the Xbox One, it's more like PC architecture, where there is timing delays. So if you're moving a lot of stuff in and out, that's going to be an issue. Developers are just going to program around that. But if in all actuality, the PlayStation 4 is 50% faster, that would explain why Microsoft has bumped up the clock speed of the GPU and the CPU already. Where it's been up, like the GPU went up 20%, I think, and the CPU was up like 17%, or maybe those numbers are flipped or not even accurate. I don't know. I can't remember from a couple weeks ago.
Maybe I just made those up all over the place.
But they bumped it up a fair bit. Maybe that is the reason why they saw what was happening with their developers that were working on cross-platform games and said, oh crap, all right, well, let's see what we can do here to get it as fast as we possibly can. But I mean, at the end of the day, if the PlayStation 4 is that much better of a system, I mean, that could hurt Microsoft down the road. Or it couldn't. Like, who knows? Who cares? Let's wait till there's some actual games out before before like setting up your PlayStation 4's better like
by
castle,
that URL.
Your castle beside the Xbox One sucks doghouse that you have set up beside it. Like, it's just so bizarre. Like these I don't know, Sega does what Nintendo don't, was kind of the way it all started, right? And there's still people on either side of the fence will say that my system is better. For me, I love games. I own every console. I don't really have I don't have a horse in this race at all. For right now, I don't play my Xbox, not because I don't like Xbox, but because the system sounds like a small engine like a small plane is flying around my house, and it's so late in the lifespan of the system that I'm not going to go spend a couple $100 to buy a new Xbox 360 when all the games I want to play are also on the PlayStation 3.
For sure. I think the way I measure a console's success is the exclusives really have to sell me, right? Like, do I want an Xbox One? Probably over a PS4 at this point now, because they're effectively matching each other in their ideals company-wise. But
what exclusives are on Xbox that are selling you?
Titanfall, which probably won't be an exclusive for long.
No,
it'll be a timed exclusive.
It'll be 3 months and it will be out on everything else.
Yeah, like if January comes around and Titanfall's not on the PS4, I will be shocked. But Forza 5 is something I really want to play. And that game, honestly, for me, is huge. I mean, it's one that I'm such a fan of of the Forza series that Forza 5 is a monster pillar for me on the Xbox One. And I also love Xbox Live, and I love the way that it connects me and my friends to play games like Call of Duty. Now, that said, I don't think I can judge Xbox Live on the Xbox One based on its performance on the 360, but, my feeling is edging me towards that. Two things that kind of stuck out to me here in this thing was when they say 50% faster. This is a guy that the guy who kind of made this article happen, right? For the interviewee, he's someone who spends every day, probably a lot of his nights, ensconced in this kind of stuff. He knows what that means. Would we as a consumer know 50% faster? Maybe, because that's a huge number. 50% might be very noticeable. But for some people, it'd probably just go over their head. And the second thing, the one that kind of worried me actually, is that he says Xbox One is weaker. That is fine, but the part that is the second part that worried me, and it's a pain to use its ES RAM. And I don't know if that means that Xbox One now has a situation that PS3 did when it first came out, where it was just a pain to develop for. That's
pretty much exactly what it is for. Like,
and that freaks me out.
When PlayStation 3 first came out, it used the Cell chip, which was basically eight separate CPUs, and you had to write software in such a way that would basically put parts of your running program on each of those CPUs. And it took a while for developers to figure that out. And some games were made on the Xbox 360 first, and then porting over was a huge problem. What that caused people to do was start their development on PlayStation 3 and port to Xbox 360 after. So if ESRAM, if the slower RAM and the way the architecture of how the RAM to CPU is on the Xbox One is really a problem, you're just going to have people make it on the Xbox One first and then port it over to the PlayStation 4. Or I guess, reverse of that, right? No, they're going to make it on the harder thing first and then port it over to the easier system, because they're not going to have to fight. It's going to run better by default on that system. Or they just won't make an Xbox One at all. Yeah, I mean, that could happen. I doubt it. Like, if you're an Activision or an EA, you're going to make a game on both systems. If you're have the time. And if you're an indie developer, you're already making stuff for Sony anyway, so that doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter how crappy a development process it could be, because you're already going to be making stuff for the other system anyway, because of how much more appealing Sony is to independent developers right now anyway. 50% is a huge number, and if the system really is 50% faster because of its faster memory, faster architecture, what you're going to have is potentially games that were cross-platform or announced for the Xbox will actually not come out on that system, and instead will only come out on the PlayStation. 50% is a huge number. I mean, there's no getting around. Like 10% faster is nothing. 20% faster is nothing. 50%, I mean, that is a lot. But this is early dev kits. Like, who knows what if this is even true? Like, these are developers that are writing code. Maybe they're not properly optimizing it for the Xbox to begin with. Like,
we'll probably get 10 more articles like this in the next 6 weeks where people are like, oh, you know what?
The Xbox is actually 73% faster.
Exactly.
With this one benchmark that I wrote that is optimized to run on that architecture. Like, I don't know. It's so stupid. Let's wait till the systems come out. We'll see what developers say, because developers will sometimes talk off the record, and then it's all of a sudden gets put on the record, and then we find out what the real problems are. So I'm going to wait for January, February next year, and then we'll see how much of a pain it really is to develop for Xbox.
Yeah, that'll be a good benchmark.
Exactly. But yeah, I'm not keen to believe them. I'm not keen to believe them just because they say it. Looking at the way that the systems are architected, I do think the PlayStation 4 is a superior piece of hardware. 50% is a lot, though. So we'll see what happens.
I think as long as PlayStation is making consoles, they will always be the superior piece of hardware. I think that's just their company MO, is that we'll build the strongest, fastest, best looking, maybe not best looking, but just most technologically advanced hunk of plastic that we can. Because that is a big selling feature for us,
Right, exactly. Sorry, trying to move some stuff here.
Now that I think about it, like, the guy's comment from Xbox is like, in 10 years, are we 10 years from now, that means that the games will look as good or better?
No, he's saying that they develop, all their consoles are developed for a 10-year life cycle.
Okay.
That's marketing speak.
Yeah.
In 10 years from now, who knows what you're going to really want, type thing. Yeah. All right, moving on. Basically, more PlayStation 4 stuff. The PS4 is actually not coming out in Japan until February.
This is weird news to me.
So it's coming out in March, in November in North America. I have to stop reading when I'm talking because I say weird things. So it's coming out in November in North America, then it's coming out in February in Japan, which is usually the exact opposite. Usually it's all of their consoles come out in Japan first and then come out to North America.
Yeah.
Says a couple things. Says that Sony already knows that they have won Japan. The Xbox will never have a foothold in Japan. The Wii U isn't selling enough to really be an issue. Okay, there's like this fruit fly that's buzzing me for like the last hour. What the hell? Where are you coming from, fruit fly? I'm gonna
clean your house.
We don't even have fruit anymore. I don't know where they're coming from. We don't have fruit in the basement where I am, so it's just so bizarre. It's really annoying me though. So they know that they've already won, so it's not something that they have to worry about. So what they can do is take all of the development, or all of the not the development of the system, but all the consoles being developed and made. They can take all of those consoles and devote the full 100% capacity of their factories to bringing systems to North America. They've excused themselves from this problem by telling the Japanese public, sorry, we know you'd like it right when the North American people get it, but there isn't enough Japanese-centric games that would really sell well in Japan to begin with. So they're basically just saying there's not enough games that are fit for the Japanese market, that all the games that are going to be coming out are meant for the North American market. Well, if you'd have told your developers in Japan that the system's coming out in November, they would have had stuff ready for it. So
it's a very poor excuse, and honestly one that, like, if I was a Japanese gamer, I would feel like I got a slap in the face. Like, hey, listen, North America's more important than you, so wait.
Yeah,
wait forever.
I mean, this time, seriously, what the hell? It keeps flying in my face. Like do you want me to eat you? Is that what you're getting at? I'm not going to do that.
Trying to be the new co-host.
Little bug. So if people are watching the video right now, they're seeing me swat at a little tiny flying thing. Like fruit flies. Really? Why do you exist? Anyway, yeah, I mean, in Japan, it's a one horse race. There's the PlayStation, and that's pretty much it. And there's the Wii, but the hardcore are still only buying the PlayStation, right? They're not buying the Wii. They're the Wii U, because the Wii U just isn't selling to begin with. So anyway, I would be a little bit disappointed, but then also as someone in the Japanese gaming public, you got to realize that you've gotten every other console first. So maybe you wouldn't be so insulted, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, it's a weird thing, because I don't think I've ever seen that, especially not like a 4-month lead. Or I guess 3.5 months. I mean, that's just
a long time.
That's crazy. But it just shows how important this battle is for Sony. They want to be number one. They don't want to do anything to themselves that would make them not win. So they don't want to divert 1 million consoles from North America that could be sold in North America because they want to bring them to Japan. And I totally get that, and it totally makes sense, because the battle is North America right now. It's not Japan, because the Xbox doesn't sell at all in Japan, which is, I mean, that's how it's always been. So it makes sense, but 3.5 months, that's a long time.
Oh man, I just had a sneezing fit there. Yeah, it is a long time. It's strange, and again, like I probably feel pretty pissed off if I was a Japanese gamer, something that, as Sony, like a flagship kind of corporation of Japan, looking forward to. But I mean, I guess they get the new Vita first. Yeah. And PS Vita TV, which we're going to talk about now. Yeah,
exactly. So Sony, around the same time, they said that there's a new Vita. They showed it off. It's slimmer, it's lighter, and it's more colorful, is what they say. So it comes in 6 colors. So there's black, gray, pink, yellow, bluish kind of gunmetal blue, and white. And it's a different Vita from the other one, because it's slimmer, I guess, but also it doesn't use the OLED screen anymore. It's using a LCD panel, which has allowed them to bring some of the size down, and it also has built-in memory as well. It has a gig of RAM built into it, where this Vita has a memory card, and that's the only way that you can store data. So pretty neat little release. It hasn't been announced for North America anyway, so I don't know what that means, if we're going to get it in a month, or if we're going to get it in 6 months. But it looks like it's going to be about $200, so they haven't increased the price or anything like that. And it looks like a good little unit. I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
I like the fact that it comes in colors, because I think that's going to spur a lot of people. I remember when the original Game Boy Color, which wasn't a color screen, but they were just colored cases, came out, and you're like, oh, that's stupid. And then they just sold insane amount of numbers. Like, oh, I want a blue one or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's cool. It's a little bit larger as well, too. The screen's just a tiny bit bigger, which is kind of cool. Lighter would be nice, because this thing, after about 20 or 30 minutes of holding it up, it does feel a little bit heavy, and I don't think it's weighted as well as the 3DS is for whatever reason. But a gig memory, I don't know. I mean, that's
for save games. I mean, you wouldn't store any games on it, but that would be awesome to have all your save games just live right on the device, so that if you are swapping cards, you don't have to worry about, oh crap, my save game for blah is on there.
Absolutely.
That makes a lot of sense.
I love the fact that it's only available in Wi-Fi, which means that I believe that this means that they're getting rid of that 3G shit, because that was stupid. You're like, hey, do you want your PS Vita to act exactly like your cell phone? No, I do not. I do not want that at all.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that liked it. I mean, it sold okay. A lot of people liked having the built-in GPS chip for some of the games that had geolocation, the mapping apps. That was really cool. And if you don't have a cell phone contract, or if you didn't have a cell phone contract that had a data plan, you could get a low-cost data-only plan, which would then allow you to get this thing on the internet. Personally, I would rather like get a data plan on my cell phone and then tether it, but I guess that's not available in every part of the world. So
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, just the Wi-Fi model makes a lot more sense.
For me anyway, it does, and I think maybe for you know, and I shouldn't speak for everybody, obviously.
Nope.
Two other things that I really like about this model is that the buttons for the PlayStation button and the start and stop button are now circles. They're a little bit better for your finger, which is nice. And then the touchscreen or the touchpad on the back has been shrunk down a bit to give your hands a better place to sit.
Gee, imagine
so that you're
that.
not always touching the stupid.
So you're not going
backpad.
like this, making crazy dinosaur finger things to hold your unit.
Which makes it uncomfortable to hold your unit.
No, totally.
It makes it uncomfortable to hold every once in a while. Like, you know, just your hands kind of cramp up in the worst way.
Yeah, totally.
The only thing I wish they put in, which I think I understand why they didn't, because then games would almost be obsolete for the older model, is thumbsticks that are also buttons.
Yeah, they would splinter the market. So
yeah,
that would be
because then
why
you'd be like,
they
oh
didn't do
well,
that.
this game is only playable with the clicky thumbsticks.
Same reason why there isn't a 3DS. The 3DS didn't have a model that had dual circle pads.
Yeah,
even though it makes total sense to have it, but that'll never work.
I did see a lot of I don't know if you saw the backlash from this. They're like, oh, you know, like I've got my Vita and now there's a new one. I'm thinking to myself, like, it's been a year and a half.
I never saw any of that. But this is the internet we're talking about,
I saw a lot of Twitter hate.
Who complain a lot about everything. So it doesn't surprise me. When you're buying something, the company doesn't owe you anything.
No, they don't.
Like all the people bitching about the Wii U price drop, and it's like, I've only had it for a year and they've dropped the price.
That's a long time, guy.
They should give me games to make up for it. No, you should have bought games and enjoyed the unit for the whole year. And if you didn't, well, that's your own fault. If you did, well, there you go. You got a year's worth of enjoyment.
Yeah, Nintendo set a precedent, you know, when they dropped the price on the 3DS, and but I think that was a little bit more warranted because it was only 90 days.
It was 3 months after it hit the market, and it was a huge price drop.
Yeah, it was 30% or something.
It was like $80 and 30 days or 90 days after. It's like almost $1 per day that it's been on the market. Yeah. That was huge. That made sense what they did, because they would have had a lot of really pissed off people. Yeah. Dropping something $50 or whatever, it's like, who cares? That's $50.
I was actually kind of surprised that I noticed that there was like a tweet that went out from the PlayStation Twitter account. They were like, hey, listen, big announcement coming, you know, for Tokyo Game Show, and it's going to be something that you all want. And I wasn't sure if they were referring to the Vita TV, which we'll talk about, I guess, in a second, or the new Vita, but I was actually kind of surprised to see a new model that was actually quite a bit different than the other one in terms of just them shearing it down, making it small, or I guess bigger but thinner and lighter and in different colors. Was quite interesting to me. I was like, I didn't expect that at all. That's cool.
What I think the actual announcement at the Tokyo Game Show is going to be the VR headset that's been rumored for Sony to bring out. 2 different VR headsets that they're working on. A pro model and a consumer model. So they want to fight the Oculus Rift head on that way. So I think that's what they were referring to.
Virtual Boy 2.
Yeah, I mean, I want an Oculus Rift hooked up to my PlayStation 4. That would be awesome. That would be really good. Yeah. All right. So
I get the feeling like I would barf my guts out if I put those, because I get a small headache and sometimes a big headache if I watch a 3D movie. I feel like I put an Oculus Rift on and I'm just going to barf all over my living room.
Definitely not for everybody. That is for sure.
It's going to mess with me.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, because we're really stretching out the time here.
Yep.
Sony also announced a new product called the PlayStation Vita TV. It's a small little micro console. It's $100. It's a small little thing. It's really small. Like, it's hard to even show you what it is. It's like you took a Vita disc case and put 2 of them on top of each other. That's how small it is. It's tiny. And what this thing's going to do is it's going to hook up via HDMI to your television, and it's a set-top box, so it connects to Sony's movie service, Sony's audio service, and allows you to stream stuff from like Netflix and Hulu and other online services. Really cool, $100 set-top box to compete with the Apple TV. Mm-hmm. Where this is one step cooler it will, if you pair a DualShock controller with it, it will allow you to play PlayStation Vita software right on your television. It even has a PlayStation Vita card slot, so you can plug games right into it. Not every game will be supported on this device because some games for Vita require you to use the touchscreen or gyro. So those games won't necessarily work. But I've wanted to play Vita games on my television, and this is a perfect way to do it. They said that it's going to be about $100. There's the possibility down the road that this will be able to play PlayStation 3 software as well. If it's streamed from a PlayStation 4, it will also stream PlayStation 4 content as a repeater. So you don't, just like the PlayStation 4 will send games to your Vita to play on, it'll also send games to here. So you would have your PlayStation 4 in your den or your living room, and then you might have one of these boxes in your bedroom so that you can play games while you're laying in bed or whatever. This is huge. When I saw this, it's like, yep, I'm going to buy one. I'm going to buy two probably.
Really? Wow.
Because I want to be able to move my stuff to other televisions without having to move my console.
I guess you've got a lot invested in Sony and PlayStation Plus, so it seems like a good fit, right?
Well, for me, it's just convenience. Like if I like PlayStation 4 is going to have the ability to play stuff on my Vita, which is nice, but I would sometimes just want to lay in bed and play games like on a lazy afternoon, right?
Yeah.
Now you'll be able to do that by streaming it to your television. It only streams in 720p, so some people were like lambasting Sony that way because they complain about everything. Everything about this unit screams, I want it. I can't wait for it. It hasn't been announced in North America, and Sony was asked if it's coming out to the US, and they're like, no, as of right now, this is a Japan only product.
This is what they get instead of the PS4.
This is the we're sorry, don't hate us replacement. And see, we love you so much, we came up with something new for you that isn't going to come to North America until sometime after February when you guys finally get the PlayStation 4.
That might make them okay. You know, they're like, all right, thanks.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a strange device.
So this unit, it's a little bit higher than an Ethernet port. So if you know how fat an Ethernet port is, how tall an Ethernet port is, it's just a little bit bigger than that. So this thing is really kind of
like 2 centimeters high, maybe. I mean, just thin.
Yeah, it's basically like a pack of playing cards.
Yeah,
like that's how small it is. It's tiny. I can't wait to get this. So
I was following it on Twitter, right? And I was in bed at the time because this is overseas, and I saw PS Vita TV. I'm like, are you kidding? I thought that was a joke. Like, that's stupid. No, and then I saw it the next day, and I was like, whoa, that's wicked.
I woke up. I woke up really early, and I opened Twitter, and I saw people talking about PlayStation Vita TV, and I was just like, what is that? Is that like a new YouTube channel or something? And I just kind of said, oh yeah, whatever. I'm not interested in looking at that right now. And then later, I read about it, and it's like, holy, that is the coolest thing ever. And I was like all behind it and wanted to play it. So really kind of neat. So
it is cool. I only have one TV in my house, so I'm not going to get one. But if I had TV in the bedroom or downstairs or something here, I guess this is just kind of like a secondary monitor for my computer when I'm editing, but and my Xbox TV. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's super cool. And if it really, if it eventually can stream PS4 stuff, maybe that honestly would be.
Yeah, I mean, it will stream PS4 stuff. That was an announced feature. It's the PlayStation 3 games that it hasn't been announced yet because Sony hasn't really announced how they're going to do that streaming of PlayStation 3 software on the PlayStation 4. They said it's a possibility, meaning I guess they're working on it. They want to have something announced at one point using Gaikai or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, PlayStation Vita, November 14th, it comes out in Japan, which is just before the PlayStation 4 comes out in North America. So this is totally a we're sorry, don't hate us kind of move. I kind of dig it. I can't wait to get one of these myself. It looks like a really cool unit.
Sony's guns blazing right now, man. They are just everything.
Yeah, they're doing pretty good things. They're like the Apple of the game market right now. Like they're putting out great products that are really exciting a lot of people, which is really good to see.
Yeah, I think they're just spending a ton of money, but I guess that they're going to say like, oh, we're going to make it back tenfold, which is
Mhm.
great. Hope they do.
Yeah, totally. All right, moving on quickly. A couple quick things. Assassin's Creed Liberation HD has been announced. Assassin's Creed Liberation was the Vita-only version of Assassin's Creed 3. You basically took on the role of a female assassin. Her name was Aveline, and she was amazing. I loved the game. As janky and busted as it was a really fun romp on my Vita. They're going to be bringing Assassin's Creed Liberation HD to the PlayStation 3, which is great. I can't wait to replay it because I think I will replay this one on the bigger screen just because it was that great of a game.
And hopefully they fix a little bit of that issues that you've had with it.
I think they kind of have to. Otherwise, they're kind of SOL with this release. But yeah, it looks really good. The stills and videos that they came out with looks really great. So when more news of that comes out, we will definitely talk about it here on the show. Kind of a little funny story. Someone owned the domain xbone.com that they had maintained for a long time. He created it sometime in March of 2000 is what this article says. Well, when Xbox One was announced, people called it the Xbone because Microsoft's boned. Microsoft really hates that name, even though if you take Xbox One and you take out an OX, it's Xbone. Like that's how some people are shortening it just because it's easier to write. Well, I guess Microsoft tried to get this domain by basically sending a cease and desist. The guy said, "I've owned this for way earlier than the Xbox One announcement. It's not like I just registered it today." I guess they had some form of back and forth, but they ended up buying it from this person. So hopefully this guy got a nice chunk of change. And mainly Microsoft just doesn't want like Sony to buy it and put up a really bad website saying about all the bad things that Xbox is. So they're trying to protect themselves, which companies should do. So it made me giggle a little bit when I read it, but I mean, obviously that's what companies do. They want to protect their IP.
It's strange that they gave him a cease and desist, though.
They always do that. That's the first step, is to threaten. And then if the threatening doesn't work, it's like, okay, well, how can we work this out? Oh, it just drives me crazy. All right, next up, the awesome hardware console that we love to talk about on the show, the Retron 5, has finally been given a release date, and pre-orders are open on Hyperkin's website. So the Retron 5 will be coming out on October 31st for a price of $99.99. It comes with
a steal of a deal.
Oh, totally. It comes with the unit and one wireless controller. And of course, if you know anything about the unit, it plays NES, Super Nintendo, Super Famicom, Genesis, Mega Drive, Famicom, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance cartridges. So it has all the cartridge slots for that. It also has ports for all of the original joysticks and gamepads that you would have had from those consoles. So if you like playing SNES games with a SNES pad, you plug it into the SNES port and you're SNESing. I know people hate when I say SNES, but I like saying SNES. But yeah, this thing is going to be awesome. I can't wait to get my hands on one. I haven't seen if they will ship to Canada or if they're going to have any sort of Canadian resellers. I know P&P Games sells Retron products, so I'm assuming that once this comes out, I'll be able to go pick it up at my trusty old P&P Games shop here in Winnipeg.
For sure.
But yeah, I can't wait. Get one too. I can't wait to check this out just so I can play my old cartridges, because it hooks up via HDMI to your television. So if you have old cartridges that you can't hook up to your brand spanking new LCD or LED screen, you get one of these, you plug it into this unit, and it just works. It's,
no screen burn, and at 720p, and it'll allow you to play NTSC and PAL cartridges, which means you can play those crazy like underground Chinese games, totally. Which are awesome.
Yeah, and you can play all of the multi-carts and everything. Like it's a great unit. I cannot wait for this thing. So we'll talk about more for sure when it comes out. Last and probably least is the Game Stick. That was that Kickstartered little gamepad that has a little USB dongle. You plug the USB dongle into an HDMI, or I guess it's an HDMI dongle, not a USB dongle. You plug it into an HDMI port, and then you're playing Android games on your television. We talked about it earlier when it was kickstarted. it's finally dated after a bunch of delays. It'll be coming out October 29th. So right before the Retron. I will wait 2 days and get the Retron because I don't want to pay $80 for another micro console that I won't play.
Yeah,
The Wii has kind of been a bust in this house.
Exactly, right? Like it's stupid.
Yep.
I don't care about this thing at all.
No, I don't get this. If I'm gonna get another micro console, it's gonna be the PlayStation Vita television.
Yes.
Yep. All right. A couple quick stories right at the end. That was great. But that'll do it for this episode. Jeff, thank you again for coming out, even though you're kind of sickly and snorking all over the place. Hopefully, hopefully you feel better, man.
I should be back to full strength by 2013.
Awesome.
The end of 2013, I should say.
I cannot wait. So let's do a Killzone Mercenary update. Killzone Mercenary watch. The main game has downloaded and installed.
Nice.
But the 1 gig patch is still coming down, and it has.
It's only for the multiplayer. You can play the campaign without having that patch.
Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump in and play the campaign. But yeah,
nice.
The second file hasn't finished downloading yet. There's still 54 minutes remaining for that one.
That's not bad. I mean, it's actually pretty bad.
What is this thing? It's also downloading something called Killzone Mercenary Blackjack's Briefcase.
Maybe some kind of
a novel, graphic novel,
DLC or something. There was like, I hate that this is game cases now, but there was literally F all inside of this case. You know, it was just the game, so there was nothing like here's your downloadable content or anything. So maybe you got some sort of bonus or something.
Maybe I'll have to look into it. But yeah, Killzone Mercenary is there, and it's bouncing on my home screen right now, so I'm going to play that right after the show.
You got to wait for it to install first.
It's already installed.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah, it's already installed.
You ready to go?
It's good to go.
All right, let's get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Then.
All right, everybody. Thanks for staying subscribed and tuning in to yet another bonus stage podcast. This was episode 43. Love hearing from you. Head on over to vgpodcast.com and let us know what you think. Email us at vgpodcast@gmail.com or call our voicemail line at area code 505 VG Podcast. That's going to do it for yet another show. Just a little news and note. If you want to tune in to the Touch of Gaming or Nintendo Pulse next week on Thursday, it's actually been moved to Wednesday. I'm actually going to a preseason Jets game on Thursday. Got free tickets to it, so I can't not go. Sweet. So I had to move the recording schedule a little bit. So
who are they playing?
They are playing the Minnesota.
Oh,
so
Wild.
Yeah, the Minnesota Wild, and it is a preseason game, but the Wild are actually going to be our biggest rivals now that we're in a new division, so it should be pretty fun. Should be pretty fun. So yeah, I had to move the shows. If you want an accurate look at the recording schedule, look at vgpodcast.com/live, and all the shows are listed up there, so you know when we're recording. All right, guys, that's going to do it. We will talk to you next week. Take it easy.
Let's get started.